Okay, the second topic for this instrumental goal is sometimes when we are engaged in some questionable behaviors, and we got to say something to save our face, to restore our image, to maintain our self-esteem. So in other words, we got to change others' attitudes or others' opinions towards us. We call it self-defense or defending the self. So let's talk about that. Well, first, I want to define what is account. So account is when you want to defend yourself, when you want to say something to save your face, to restore your image, you want to present a linguistic message. So this linguistic message is actually the account. So by definition, accounts refer to a linguistic device that is actually a verbal message used whenever an action is subjected to evaluative inquiry. So to put it into a simple way, when our behaviors are being questioned by other people, we want to say something. We want to deliver a verbal message to restore our image, to defend ourselves. And this verbal message, we call it account. And there are several types of accounts: apologies, excuses, and justifications. These are the three commonly used types of accounts when we want to defend ourselves. So if I want to rank these three types of accounts on a continuum from the least preferable one to the most preferable one, and this is how this continuum would look like. So justifications are the least preferable one, and followed by excuses and apologies are the most preferable one. So which means that apologies, except there are some kind of extreme cases, but in a common situation, apologies are the most preferable one, are the most polite one. We want to have it. Whereas justifications are the least preferable one, the least polite ones. So before we go into each of these three types of accounts, let's first take a look of this video clip from France. So let's take a look what kind of account does Joey have for us in this conversation. This conversation is pretty funny. Okay, welcome back. We can see that in this conversation, based on our common sense, based on our knowledge, we know that Joey used justifications, excuses, and apologies in this conversation. So let's take a look at each of these three accounts. First of all, apologies. So when communicate an apology, an individual would accept all the responsibility for his or her behaviors while asking to be pardoned. So apology is I'm gonna accept all the responsibility. It is totally my bad, my fault to cause such a bad consequence. So I'll take all the responsibilities and I'm asking for to be forgiven. That is apologies. So usually a full apology would contain three components. The first one is I recognize that this behavior is not appropriate. It is not right. Second, I got to show my emotions, my guilty feelings, right? So the second part of apology is an expression of regret, guilt, or embarrassment. The last one, you got to make a promise about a future conduct. So I'm gonna acknowledge what is right, what is appropriate, and I'm gonna make a promise that I'm gonna behave like an adult in the future. So these are the three components that a full apology is supposed to have. First one, acknowledge that I'm doing something wrong, and second, show my regret feelings, my guilt feelings, and third, looking ahead, I promise this won't happen again. So keep these three components in our mind. Let's take a look of the apology in real life. So a few years ago, the really well-known athlete, American athlete, Michael Phelps, he was caught using drugs. So after this big news, he made apology to the public. So let's take a look at his apology and see whether he has these three components in his apology. So basically, he said, I engaged in behavior which was regrettable and demonstrated bad judgment. So I acknowledge of this inappropriate behavior. I'm 23 years old, and despite the successes I've had in the pool, I acted in a useful and inappropriate way, not in a manner people have come to expect from me. So a further sentence or claim that I'm doing something wrong, this is totally a wrong behavior. For this, I'm sorry. So this is an expression of his guilt feelings. He felt regrettable. Last one, I promise my fans and public it will not happen again. So the last sentence is a promise about the future behaviors. So we can see that this is a well-crafted apology to the public. And next time when you see such an apology made by a celebrity to the whole public, take a look of this PR article and analyze whether they have such a full apology with all these three components there. So that is the first type of account, apology. That is the most polite one. Second one, excuse. So excuse, well, that is pretty straightforward, but let's define it. An excuse is a statement used to deny or reduce one's perceived level of responsibilities. So I admit this is something wrong, but I refuse to take the whole responsibility. Okay, so I'm doing something wrong, but it is not my fault. I didn't cause these bad consequences. So that is an excuse. Finding an excuse for your for failing of your exam, finding an excuse for, I don't know, something wrong. So basically, you are denying the whole responsibility. So I'm gonna talk about three types of excuse. They are plea of ignorance, excuse, mitigating circumstances, and last one is diffusion of responsibility. And this looks really overwhelming, but let me kind of describe you a scenario to illustrate each of these three types of excuse. Let's say yesterday I was driving on highway and I got caught by a policeman and he asked me to pull over. So when he came to my car and he was like, do you know that you are speeding? And I would pretend to be really innocent. And I would say something like, well, I totally have no idea that I was speeding. I was just focusing all my attention on the road and I just didn't check my speed meter. So I have no idea that I was driving like 100 miles per hour. So in this case, I'm using this plea of ignorance excuse to defend myself. So basically, if people use this type of excuse, people would claim that they are not fully aware of the facts of the matter. So they are ignorant or they are innocent about these wrong behaviors. Okay, so that is this first type of excuse. I'm claiming that I'm not aware of the fact that I'm doing something wrong. Of course, this policeman won't buy me. And for the second time, I will try something like, well, I know that I'm speeding, but it is because there is a guy behind me and he was using his flash to ask me to drive faster. So basically, for this type of excuse, I'm claiming that, well, yes, I'm doing something wrong, but there are some other factors in this environment preventing me from behaving in a normal fashion. We call it mitigating circumstances. So the idea here is I'm trying to find an excuse something happening in the environment and it is out of my control. And this factor prevents me from behaving in a normal way. So in one of our last classes, we talked about the self-handicapping, that is, we are finding excuse for possible failure. So it is kind of similar with the self-handicapping, that is, we are finding some excuses out of our control to explain our behaviors. So basically, we are saying that this current situation is out of my control. Something in the environment should take the responsibility. And of course, the policeman won't buy it. And for the last time, I'm gonna use some account like, well, I was just following everybody on this road, and I don't think I need to take the whole responsibility. All the drivers on this highway should share this responsibility. So that is the third type of excuse. That is diffusion of responsibility. So basically, I'm claiming that responsibility should be shared by a number of other people, not just me. Okay, so I'm diffusing this responsibility for this wrong behavior. Okay, that are the three types of excuse. Let's move on to the third type of account. Justification. That is the least favorable, least preferable one we want to have. So justification is that a person accepts responsibility for the behavior in question, but denies it was harmful or tries to claim it is not a big deal. It actually had some positive consequences. Let me give you some examples to illustrate justifications. So let's say me and my husband, we are invited to one of our friends' wedding. And in the wedding, I came across one of my ex-boyfriends. So we haven't chatted with each other for a long time. So in the wedding, we kind of stood there and kept talking for like 3 or 4 hours. And of course, my husband would feel very jealous, not happy about it. So when after we got home, and he would question my behavior, and he was like, I see you guys standing there chatting for like 3-4 hours. That is not good. Well, I would justify my behavior by saying that, come on, we are just standing there talking with each other. We didn't do anything. It is not a big deal. So basically, I'm justifying my behavior by claiming it is not a big deal, nothing serious. Let me give you another example to illustrate. Sometimes people justify their behaviors by spinning, by claiming it actually has some positive consequences. So as you know, my husband is a big fan of video games. And sometimes he would sit there and play these video games for a whole day without doing anything else. And I would complain about it. And when I complained too much about it, and he would define his behaviors by saying that, by spinning things up, he would be like, well, actually, when I play video games, actually it is very good for you because you got more space, you got more time to do your own stuff. So see, playing video games actually has some benefits for our families. So this is usually the time I really want to kill him. And you can see that he is justifying his behaviors by spinning things up, by claiming it actually has some benefits and positive consequences. So these are the three types of accounts we could have when we define ourselves. In next video, we're going to talk about theory. It's called attribution theory, and this theory will take a perspective from an onlooker, from other people's perspective to look at the wrong behavior.